I was really privileged because my son had a little role in the movie as well, one of the water boys, and I've always been keen for him to get involved. But he's been in finance, so this was the first opportunity we've had to actually work together. So
Congratulations.
thank you. We wanted to make something a little bit more grainy. I think a little bit more tough, a little bit more. Real, I guess, and raw, and just have sometimes you don't want to mess with these guys as well. These are the some of the darker side of the pirates and the buccaneers. Let's try and get some grit, I guess. I think the word is looking for. Wanted to make a gritty one, a gritty kind of pirate film.
Well, you nailed that on the head.
Thank you very much. I was just grateful that Frank Flowers allowed me into his film. So it was just a wonderful experience I had with Frank. Even went into to meet Frank. And after speaking with him, I was just so excited. I said, look, I'm going to have to do this film. I'm going to work with Frank. I loved the director. So that's how it really happened. And we had just a nice spark when we met. And I just said, look, I'm going to come on this waka. Our word for waka or is a ship or a vessel or a canoe. So I said, look, Frank, I'd love to be involved with this waka. I knew Karl also, both being New Zealand actors. I've been very, very proud of Karl, and I had such a wonderful time with him. We're the ones from a little country called New Zealand. So we're both from New Zealand, and I respect him so much because, we're the ones that sort of get out of our little country and give it a go overseas. And Karl's done very, very well on the international stage. So, yeah, it was a pleasure to work with him as well. I didn't know Priyanka until this film. You could just tell when you first meet her that she's got that kind of X factor. She's also got she's got a powerful soul because every time she looked at me, I was more scared of her looking at me and giving me that look. Ooh, it's something between us actors, I think, It's like an inner feeling, these things that come from the inside. And when you decide to look at somebody with intensity, you can tell. I said, "Ooh, gee, this is great. This is great. All right." So I really had a great time working with my great friend Karl and meeting up with Priyanka. Also, Ismael was very good. Ismael, beautiful looking man, blue eyes, man. What a presence he had too. Again, working with a wonderful director. So we had a wonderful time in Australia. Actually, we filmed in Australia, we didn't have much time as well, and so we really got stuck in. And I wanted to bring a bit of my Maori-ness too. I'm from New Zealand, the native indigenous people, and Frank liked the sound of our language. And when I'm sort of yelling commands to my man, I'm like the go-between between the captain and I'm running the ship. Really, I'm like the man in charge of the ship. I'm in charge of discipline. So, that's what I was trying to get across. Don't mess with me, otherwise I'll throw you overboard.
Absolutely. Something I wanted to bring up with you super quickly is I know you're from Rotorua in New Zealand, and I visited
Yes,
Rotorua last year. When
yes.
I found out, I thought that was quite funny. I pulled up my little postcard that I brought home with me, but
Wicked.
it is such a beautiful place. I loved New
Wasn't too
Zealand, so that
smelly for
was
you? Wasn't too
no, you know what?
smelly?
You get used when we first got there. I think you just get used to it. We were there for a few days.
Yes.
It was great.
Oh, great. And so you had a hot pool. That's good. That's where I live, in those hot pools. That's
That's
why my
amazing.
skin is so nice. We have that mineral water oozing out of the ground. So, I'm glad you came to Rotorua.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Frank a bit when you were meeting Frank, and something I loved so much about this film is learning about 1800s Cayman Brac, because personally, I came into this film not knowing the pirate history and the lore from the Cayman Islands. I'd love to know
Yes.
for you working with Frank through the creation of this film, even though it's a story of fiction, what was the most impactful or inspiring thing you learned about the historical significance of pirateers and the courageous actions of people on the Cayman Islands at this point in history?
Well, a lot of that I just looked to Frank when I needed some questions asked. I'm more Frank was just I had a beautiful connection when I first met Frank, and I really left the meeting. I went into the meeting going, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be working on this, but I'll go meet the director anyway. See, there's a saying, I think, see if I like the smell of his aftershave. But anyway, I got in there, and the man was just so warm. What he was saying to me was I could just resonate with it. I also drew a lot on our Maori history because some of our ancestors jumped on a ship, sailed all the way to London, went to New South Wales, went to the Mauritius, went to Tahiti. From Tahiti, they'd jump on another ship and they'd sail up to places like North America. Back in New Zealand, we had traders, whalers, settlers, and my ancestors didn't know they were coming as well. But I drew a lot more on that. But yes, again, Frank did open my mind up to the buccaneer whole thing, and how ruthless some of them were. And it must have been like a crazy time when they were going around the Caribbean. One never knew what the hell to expect. So yeah, it just opened my mind up to that, and I was just proud to be involved with it. I think the first connection I had with Frank, I just said, "Oh, geez, I just love this guy." Everything he was just saying, and we just seemed to have a nice brotherly bond. Yaman, a Yaman blonde, I think would say every time he talk, he'd go Yaman, Yaman, and I'm going Yaman. I feel like I'm in the Cayman Islands already, but it was just natural. It was just a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling, I guess, when I met Frank. I just wanted to hug him dearly, and we worked very well together too. And so I was just grateful for him putting me in his movie, and I just wanted to do the best I can. He liked the sound of our language as well. So just me being the quartermaster, giving all the orders, in charge of the discipline, in charge of the fighting prowess of my crew. So I really enjoyed all of that as well, and bringing that to the fore.
That's incredible. I loved the character dynamics and the difference that we see between your character and Captain Connor, of course, played by Karl Urban. I'd love to know what those conversations were like and kind of establishing what that difference in power struggle, the difference in their leadership and priorities that these two men would have on the island while on Cayman Brac.
Yes, well, naturally, I love Carl because we're both New Zealanders, and we've both left a small country to try and make our way in the galaxy. So I really respected Carl with how he's got out of our country and really become an international actor. So a lot of respect. So I was able to bring all that stuff to the character. I respected my captain so much that leave everything to me, boss. But then I could see him going off the rails a little bit. And so much so I was starting to worry about him. So I think that's where the problem started. I wasn't quite sure if he was capable. He was just getting a bit carried away. He was sniffing too much of that stuff that we had available to us and getting a bit carried away. But again, I was like, I could just see him going off the rails a bit, and maybe there were other reasons for it. And I was just trying to keep him. I'm trying to keep him afloat, trying to keep him on board. Bro, I think you're going a little crazy here. So I don't know if that stuff come through, but in the end, I think I would have had to take over the ship if he didn't kill me and sort of get ourselves out of this situation. And it could have been things like, I think he could sense the fact that there was going to be something like a little hidden mutiny, so he had to get rid of his main man. I think that's what happened. I was really privileged because my son had a little role in the movie as well, one of the water boys. And I've always been keen for him to get involved, but he's been in finance, so this was the first opportunity we've had to actually work together. So I really had a great time with my son on the thing as well, which I was very privileged. Even Karl Urban's son they both had minor roles as carrying the water basically and the weapons around. So I was really grateful for that, and it gave me another sense to draw on. There was a fine line once I lost my own son, that I knew that the captain wasn't quite with it. So, yeah. But those little things all come in handy in terms of the performance